Hello there, good evening, and welcome to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. My name is Robert Kesakos, and thank you for tuning into the channel. Welcome back from the weekend. I hope you have had a wonderful Monday and that the weekend was great. I know it was commiserations for Manchester United fans, and on that note, allow me to apologize for the delay in the upload of this video. Just got a bit caught up. But anyway, better late than never. But let's review it. All the action from the Premier League match day 4 on the weekend, but our focus will be on Super Sunday as Arsenal beat up against Manchester United in what I saw as a lucky win for Arsenal. Nobody deserved to win this game. Absolutely no one. And as the stats may have shown, it was 50-50 in terms of possession. Generally, it was a beautiful game of football to watch, but I did think that it lacked that bit of energy, the intensity, and the physique that we are accustomed to as far as this fixture is concerned. So that's what I viewed it as. And when you look around, nobody really dominated the game. 50-50 on overall possession, with Manchester United edging that a little bit at by halftime, while shots on target were minimized 5 against 2. That is in favor of Arsenal versus Manchester United. If you remember, an industrious Gabriel Martinelli was reduced to settling for corners after corner, with Aaron Wan-Bissaka keeping him at bay, while Bukayo Saka wasn't sharp enough, just as much as Martin Odegaard, who I thought didn't drift back in the midfield to carry that ball forward as he often does. I thought he lacked that a bit. But on the other side, Declan Rice was sensational. I thought he did perform very, very well. He was very good on the day. And that is but certainly that is where I disagree with those that think that Arsenal's missing of Thomas Partey through injury, that is being speculated to be up to 3 or to 6 weeks, depending. That groin injury that was a blessing in disguise for the Gunners. Well, we shall agree to disagree on that one. I did think even if he were to come on the bench, he would have given Arsenal much more in terms of what they lacked when it came to their midfield dominancy, the ball distribution, and all that, regardless of whether he would have started or come off the bench. I thought he always has something to offer. So I didn't see it as a blessing in disguise, as some Arsenal fans did see it, as it enabled them to retreat back to their back four of William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Zinchenko, and Ben White. So that's the kind of game that I did observe. It's a game that overall, in terms of the result, the 3-1 result for the Arsenal is quite flattering, because you can hardly remember when either opponent had the other's goalkeeper on their toes or forcing them into save after save. Actually, it wasn't until that second half that Aaron Ramsdale was forced into a save by Anthony Martial before Marcus Rashford followed that up, but he fired a blank. So that's the kind of game that we watched. No keeper was that busy in terms of making saves and all that. So it kind of tells you where the game was mostly played. There was no outstanding goal threat all the time that we are usually accustomed to. On the other side, Manchester United, they had to sit back and sort of wait for Arsenal to bring the ball to them. They played the low block, especially in the first half, where they sort of stayed back. But usually that's how they play, especially when they're playing teams that they know that are capable of dominating possession, the likes of Manchester City, Brighton, and Arsenal themselves. They are okay surrendering possession and then wait to, catch you on the counter and break your lines or exploit those gaps that you leave at the back, and then they score. More or less what really happened when you look at that goal that Marcus Rashford scored. And I did think Arsenal, to their detriment, did give Marcus Rashford a lot of space, especially in the first half. They came into the game knowing that Manchester United will have Marcus Rashford as their escape route for all their counter-attacks. And yet, he was still afforded a lot of space. So, you remember that ball that he receives and then he makes the run towards the goal, William Saliba and Ben White both sort of retreating into the box, and nobody really closed him down. Eventually, he cuts that ball to the far post and bang, he scores. Marcus Rashford, always scoring against Arsenal, but Arsenal will have themselves to blame. Now, no sooner had Marcus Rashford felt the full breath of his celebration than Martin Odegaard struck back to bring back matters to level. Now, that was a very important goal for Arsenal, that in the way they got it and how fast they got it, because it quickly brought them back into the game and brought their confidence back to put the game all square before going into halftime. If it had gone into halftime 1-0, perhaps the story would have been different. So that's what I did think of the game. Generally, it lacked that physique, that intensity, that bullish energy that especially Manchester United, over the years, they've usually known how to bully Arsenal players, especially in midfield, with those, constant tackles and kicks here and there to make the game a bit more intense. So I didn't feel that sort of energy yesterday, but that was the result at the Emirates Stadium, 3-1 for the Gunners. The referee. Now, a lot of accusations have been pelted at Anthony Taylor, the referee. Yes, maybe he got a few questionable decisions here and there, but I don't think he did perform poorly overall. For example, Victor Lindelof could have been sent off in that game. You remember in the first half, he had the high boot against Eddie Nketiah on his head, and followed that subsequently with a quick tackle from behind. Eventually, the referee just issued a yellow card, which I thought was okay given the size of the game. It's a big game. You do not want just to set off a player and reduce them to 10 men and sort of lose that balance for the game, that competitiveness and edginess that the game always has. But I thought he did handle it well. But it could have gone either way. On another day, it could have been a red card for Victor Lindelof. And so you can imagine that kind of thing. You had on the other side, again in the second half, you had Kai Havertz awarded a penalty, which was eventually cancelled after a VAR review. Now, when you look at that penalty incident, in my opinion, I did think it was a penalty. Was the contact minimal? Yes, it was a bit minimal. But when you look at Manchester United's 3-2 win over Nottingham Forest just a week earlier, that penalty that was awarded to Marcus Rashford in that game, I mean, what's that? So again, it was a lack of consistency in that sense. Then that brings me to manager Erik, who says Alejandro Garnacho's 88th minute strike was cancelled, yet it was a correct goal. Now, his argument is that it was viewed from the wrong angle. I beg to differ. Now, first of all, we do agree that he cannot be objective in this position. I mean, he did show us against Wolverhampton, even when the referees did apologize for not awarding Wolves their penalty in that incident, where Andre Onana clatters into Sasa Kalajdzic, and he said, no, it wasn't a penalty, and yet it was an obvious penalty. So in this particular case, I didn't think he would still be objective. Now, all angles are there to be looked at, so that then people make an informed decision, having looked at all angles. So after looking at all angles, it was indeed that Alejandro Garnacho was offside. Of course, it was a fraction offside. It was a small fraction, but one that you could see even in the actual instance of play before even you go to the replay. So you had that feeling that it was offside, and even the way he celebrated, he kept on looking up towards the linesman to see whether they had waved that flag up, because deep down he knew. Now, of course, on the other side, Gabriel Magalhaes, who has been praised for, holding back to make sure that Alejandro Garnacho is offside, has been praised for his IQ, but it was a big risk that he took in that move there. It was a big risk that he had to take, because it could have gone either way. On another day, they could have quickly, VAR could have refused to review that, and it stands for a goal, so anything would have happened. So I did think it was a bit risky, but I do disagree with Erik that it was viewed from a wrong angle. Maybe he would have said that from where he was seated, it appeared to be onside all day long, but the lines were drawn. He was a couple of inches offside, and that was it. Goal cancelled, and it didn't count. His other argument was again the incident against Rasmus Højlund and that tackle with that sort of situation that was there between him and Gabriel Magalhaes. Now, a lot of people have said there was no penalty there. Maybe there wasn't a penalty, indeed. But I did think it was an action that VAR would have had a look at. Because when you look back at that footage, Gabriel Magalhaes appears to hold Rasmus Højlund and sort of tussle him to the ground. Maybe they could say the contact didn't warranty Højlund to go down, but it could, again, on another day, it could have been a penalty. So they didn't show us a review of that incident, but they didn't show that VAR was reviewing this incident. But eventually they said no penalty. So, whereas I disagree with Erik Ten Hag on the incident of the cancelled goal, I sort of had the feeling that maybe he had a point. Not to say that it was an absolute penalty, but maybe it could have been looked at, scrutinized a little bit further. Then, on Arsenal's goal, Declan Rice's strike in stoppage time or in added time, he says Johnny Evans was fouled in the box. Now, for a player of Johnny Evans' experience and his physique, I did feel that he went down easily when in that entanglement with Gabriel Magalhaes again. So I did think he has the physical prowess to go toe-to-toe with Gabriel Magalhaes in that incident and then leave it to the referee. On the other side, Harry Maguire was just there spectating at these two guys, tussle it out and waiting to call a foul instead of rushing to cover and block that Declan Rice shot. He didn't do that. He just spectated. Declan Rice got all the time to chase the ball and then fire it in the back of the net at Andre Onana's near post. He had that slight deflection that maybe threw off Andre Onana, but I did think that Harry Maguire could have done something in that moment, maybe throw his body in the way to sort of deflect that shot, but he didn't do that. So it is really odd that Erik Ten Hag chooses to, apportion the entire blame on the referee and the VAR when decisions could have gone either way. We could have had Victor Lindelof sent off in that game for his high boot on Eddie Nketiah's head. Then the other side, anything could have happened. So he should be questioning his players why they didn't do enough to, deny Declan Rice all the time on the ball, fire it in the back of the net. So that's what I thought about all those instances. The question is, what did you make of them? So was there consistency? No, I do not think, because such decisions, the penalty awarded to Kai Havertz and then cancelled. Look at the weekend before, it was almost similar, but stood for Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes net start, and Manchester United are 3-2 winners against Nottingham Forest. So I did think there was a lack of consistency in terms of their decisions on the penalty issue there. And in the end, let's go to the press conference where he then comes out to say, when he's asked about Jadon Sancho being snapped from the matchday squad, he goes ahead to say that he did train well enough to, win himself a spot in the squad. Now, there is 1,000 ways he could have answered that question, but he chose to toss Jadon Sancho under the bus. And on the other side, Jadon Sancho did help the situation when he quickly went to defend himself with that publication on social media that he said he is being scapegoated. I didn't think he was being scapegoated with, Ten Hag deflecting at the defeat to then focus on another matter in Jadon Sancho, which was wrong. I mean, he's done this, a similar thing with Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, you handle these matters in-house. You speak to the player, you engage them. This is why we left you out of the squad. We did think you didn't train well enough to warrant your spot. Managers do this all the time. They drop players from starting 11s, from matchday squads for all sorts of reasons. I mean, they are the decision makers, but it doesn't hurt if a manager sits down with their player and says, you didn't make the matchday squad because of reason A, B, C. But in this case, Erik Ten Hag did choose to put it out in the open. which puts him at a disadvantage. Now, in another case, you then bring players in disarray, or you risk even losing the dressing room, because on another day, because today it may be Jordan Sancho, and in another month it could be another player, and before you know it, players are not really liking this public criticism that you're sending towards them. Once you put matters in the media, they can go either way. You get all that bad press, and before you know it, you're having bad energy, player divisions and divisions in the dressing room and all that. So you do not want that. You want the togetherness. You want to keep matters in house, and so it didn't help. It didn't help. So he needs to better himself, perhaps on the way he handles players' issues. Not that he shouldn't critique them. That's not what I'm saying, but it should be behind closed doors. When it gets to leak to the press, maybe it can stay as speculation, but once you bring it out in the way he did, I do think you put yourself at a disadvantage in this particular case. Jordan Sancho shouldn't have defended himself the way he defended himself, or his contingent in terms of maybe agents and the people around him who shouldn't have quickly reacted in the manner that they reacted by putting out a public statement. Again, you have your agent as a player, call the manager and speak to them and say, okay, this is what you said. It doesn't look both good for both my client, the name of the player, and for the club as well, and all those things. And you talk things out and you come to an understanding and all that, and relay your demands to the player and all those things, rather than putting it out in the open. So that's the review of the fixture for me. I didn't think that any other side did deserve to win the game. Like I said, they didn't create enough critical chances to warrant any side to win the game until late on, when Manchester United became a bit scrappy. They poorly defended that corner. They didn't provide enough protection for themselves. Boom. Declan Rice scores that magnificent goal. They go try to find an equalizer. They are caught on the counter. And then Gabriel Jesus makes it 3-1. So in the end, it looks like Arsenal dominated the game and they beat Manchester United by 3-1. But in actual sense, it was a 50-50 game. Like I said, nobody deserved to win that game, in my opinion. But both sides go into the international break with Manchester United recording 2 losses from their opening 4 games. The other being a 2-0 loss to Tottenham Hotspur. Their victory is coming 1-0 against Wolverhampton Wanderers and 3-2 against Nottingham Forest, while Arsenal have recorded 3 victories and 1 draw in their opening 4 matches. That is against Nottingham Forest by 2-1, winning 1-0 against Crystal Palace, drawing 2-2 against Fulham, and beating up against Manchester United. So both sides will have a lot to do during this 2 weeks period of the international break. The unfortunate bit is that Thomas Partey is injured, like I did mention. It is reported that he suffered a groin injury that may keep him out for 3 or even 6 or 8 weeks. So we'll wait to hear more on that. Then Manchester United fans maybe will have a sense of positivity after watching that Rasmus Højlund cameo. I thought he did well to show some few signs of brilliancy. Maybe with time he will be able to pick up as he becomes the routine starter as compared to Anthony Martial. I think Anthony Martial will be dropped in the long run and have Rasmus Højlund starting. So that was all the action from the Emirates. Those that are still commiserating about it, don't worry, life moves on. You will achieve better results going forward. But both sides have a lot to fix in their respective camps. Now, the other results. So just to give you a recap of the results for match day 4 of the Premier League. On Friday night, we had West Ham United beating up against Luton Town by 2-1, while Sheffield United on Saturday in the early kickoff did share the spoils with Everton in a 2-2 draw. Brentford also shared the spoils with Bournemouth in a 2-2 draw, while Burnley lost by 5-2 when they hosted Tottenham Hotspur. Son Heung-min scoring a hat-trick in that game. Chelsea were 1-0 losers at home against Nottingham Forest. So Chelsea dropping major 3 points there on the back of their Luton Town win of Then we had Manchester City beating up against Fulham by 5-1 in what came off as a robbery for their second goal against Fulham. It was 1-1, but before halftime, Nathan Aki scores a goal that found Manel Akanji in an offside position, and he jumped to let that ball go through his legs, impeding Ban Leno's vision of the ball and all that. But it wasn't ruled out. I found that a bit very, very odd over the weekend. Then Brighton beat up against Newcastle by 3-1. Ivan Ferguson scoring all the 3 goals there with a hat-trick. Liverpool beat up against Aston Villa by 3-0, while Crystal Palace beat up against Wolverhampton Wanderers by 3-2 on Sunday. So that's the wrap for match day 4 of the Premier League. It's a 2-week-long international break, so action will return on the 16th of September. So tomorrow I'll be giving you my best 11 from the Premier League match day 4. But that's all the action for the weekend. Thank you for watching. If you're new, do not forget to subscribe. And if you're regular, do not forget to like, comment, and share. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. See you next time.